Welcome to episode 3 of the UMary Coaches Show. I'm Dan Daugherty, the voice of the Marauders, and this week we are talking to the UMary hockey head coach, Dan Huntley. It's been a very good season so far for the Marauders on the ice. They are 7-2 and ranked in the top 10 in the nation, and this weekend they will be traveling to Missouri to take on Missouri State, a nationally ranked team. The UMary hockey program has now been around for 7 years, and Dan Huntley has been there since the inception of the program. So we talked to Coach Huntley about the creation of a team all the way to bringing it to a championship level. Now they're at the ACHA D1 level after starting at the ACHA D2 level. So here is my conversation with Coach Dan Huntley. Now joining us is Dan Huntley, the head coach of the men's hockey team here at UMary. And first, Dan, we'll go into your background a bit. You've coached in many places. You had administrative roles in many places. But even before that, growing up in Minnesota, I think it's a requirement to play hockey there. But what got you to strap on the skates for the first time?
I think just following my brother and, my dad and the support from our family to just go and get dropped off at an outdoor rink and just bring a lunch bucket and a bottle of hot chocolate and go. And you just go up there for 6-7 hours a day and try to get the puck. And you're playing against everybody of every age and learning how to skate and, just those things that, just you've found that, hey, this is family time. It's competitive. You've got your friends doing it as well. And then you start to play and get into competitive leagues and do those things. And so it was one of those things that you did during the winter, and it was fun.
And then being a defenseman, did that give you a vision of the ice that led you to coaching, that steered you in that direction?
That's a great question. I talk about a lot of people that I don't know that that's what led me to the coaching, but I think it gives you a much different perspective. I don't know that it's better, but you do see a lot of successful coaches are former goaltenders as well. Yeah. And so they get to stand and watch that game for a long time and see what happens, how plays develop. And I think defensemen have similar things. We were just talking with our coaches yesterday about the move of Ben Cheetah, and does he stay back and play D with us like his brother did for us for many years, or do we keep him up front and have him play center? And there's a former coach in Minnesota that I had coached against when I was at Apple Valley, and Tom Satterdahl from Bloomington Jefferson, a storied program in the in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. And every year he would start to bring up his top center from his Bantam team and put them as one of their top set defensemen and transition those guys because they had the puck skills to move back. They had the vision. They had the defensive capabilities already in their systems. And then all of a sudden they've got great puck handling defensemen that can move the puck and see the game differently. So I do think there is something that leads to seeing everything in front of you and having time to evaluate. But that gives me a perspective of the game that I think is valuable. But I don't know that that's the key to being a great coach or anything like that. It's it's just the want and the will to be successful and have that drive.
Mm-hmm. And I'm an Islanders fan, so Patrick Waz, the head coach now, and I'm pretty happy with what he's been doing there. So I definitely see what you're saying with goalies becoming head coaches for sure. But on the topic of coaching, one thing that separates UMary from other teams in the ACHA is there's a full coaching staff for the Marauders. So what's the benefit of that, of having all those voices behind the bench?
Well, hopefully they're giving me information every day, and we're trying to communicate. It's not like we're all full-time coaches. I've got my daily duties as a senior associate AD here, and so I'm different than our other head coaches on campus, where they're just coaches and they're head coaches and they've got their job. They don't have a secondary duty, and so they can concentrate a little bit more on the day-to-day interaction. We've got two part-time coaches. One's a full-time faculty member, and one is just a part-time stipend that he happens to be here. His wife works on campus in our residence halls. And he works with Focus in Varsity Catholic on the side. That's his main job, and then he takes hours to help us out and put that into his day as well. Two people that have been around hockey for a long time have good experience. Tom Orr and Jared Spooner, and then this year we had the ability to add another with Garrett Freeman, who ended his eligibility last year, still has schooling this year, so he is attending school on a daily basis and trying to finish his degree and helping us out on the ice, on the road, those kind of things to give us a staff. And then my mainstay of 7 years has been Nate Spidell with our goalies, and he's obviously done a great job providing service to them, information, technology, learning modes, on-ice modes to give us an opportunity to have some of the better goaltenders in the ACHA over our years.
And the program was founded by you when you came over here to UMary. So what brought you here to a place that didn't have a hockey program?
Yeah, it was the opportunity to get to a school that was going to be looking for an AD a year after I came here, and so I wanted some experience. I got a call from a former baseball coach that was here, and he said he would like to work for me again, and the AD job might be open in a year and a half, as Roger Thomas might have or was going to retire. So I was an AD at three different schools previous, at a junior college, at a Division III, and an NAI school. And so coming here to a school that had football, I'd never been in a school that had football. Which sounds really weird when I've been at 5 different schools before I came here. None of them had football. And that wasn't on purpose. It was just those were the job opportunities that were there for me. And it's just what it was at the time. So looking at that, knowing that if I was going to be on that AD track and continue the trajectory of where that was going to bring me, that I needed to have some of that experience if I was going to become a Division II AD. That opportunity didn't happen for me, and God had a different reason why I was here that I didn't know about. And the institution hired Dale Lennon, which was a great move, and he did some very good things for our athletic department and left us in a great spot. But I talked to him afterwards and said, hey, I've got more to give, and here's the opportunity, and so I would love to start a hockey program, and can I make a proposal and go from there. So it all happened, and here we are today, 8 years into the program, 7 on the ice, and it's been a fantastic thing for me, for our school, for our community, and for my family. And I get great support at home, and so those things make life a lot easier, and the time that you take. And we're leaving today for a road trip on a Wednesday, and we'll get back midday on Sunday, and so it's easier now as a coach that's older than as a coach that was younger. My kids are growing up. Now it's just the communication between my wife and I don't have to worry about what's happening with our kids and who's going to get them to their activities and what is the pressure put on her now. So that makes things a lot easier for me, and doesn't make it any easier to go away for a long trip, but that's part of what we do, and we're here to serve and do what's asked of us. So.
And very few coaches in any sport get the opportunity to not only build a program, but to get it to a championship caliber, and you've won 2 championships. So being there from the conception to lifting a trophy, that journey, how gratifying was that when you did get to lift that trophy?
Oh, it was amazing. There's a lot of things that go into that, and I've had some success coaching. I've had zero success coaching. It just depends on the program, and I think every coach goes through that. That there are struggles, and there's times where things are great, and you're a good coach, and there's times where things aren't so great, and you're a bad coach. Here we're finding out that. I might be in between. The perception is other people's view, not necessarily mine. And so I still have a lot of growth. But it's, just know that, hey, we started something. We had an opportunity. We had success. There are very few teams at the end of the year that get to win a championship and feel like they accomplished their goals. In the ACHA and at the D2 level, there's 292 teams or whatever there were at the time. So 100 or 291 teams that year, just in that level, were disappointed in their season, and they didn't get to do what they set out to do, and it's extremely hard. You've got to have a lot of things go your way, and we can say that in our trying to go for our three-peat and not having things go our way in pool play, and probably the top two teams in the nation facing off in the third day of the round robin, and St. Thomas clipping us in overtime, where we had to pull our goaltender because we had to win the game, not just go through and tie it. They could tie or win and move on, and we had to win the game. So kind of a weird scenario, but those are the things that make it extremely hard, and you put everything into it that you have, and try to do the right things for your kids that will allow them to be successful. And so that's what our coaching staff is trying to do right now as we evaluate our team and get through the first portion of our season, and then kind of get through that point where, okay, now in November the real rankings come out with the computer system. And so now we're developing and trying to figure out, hey, what do our line combinations look like? Do we have the right ones? How about our D pair settings? What is our goaltending situation like? What things can we change as a coaching staff? What are we doing on the road? What do we do at home? All of those things. So that's kind of where, the encompassment of the day-to-days is, what are we trying to do to become better and give ourselves an opportunity to win.
And, hockey's such a dynamic sport that's, dependent on the skill of the players. But what are things that coaches can do during a game that can, help steer things in a positive direction?
Boy, that's I feel it's hard during a game. I'm sure there's multiple philosophies. We need to prepare during the week. We need to have kids believe in what we're doing, what system we're going to run. Middle of the day yesterday in practice, we're running a 3-on-2 drill. I stopped our forwards, asked them to do something different on their zone entry. They did it. All of a sudden, boy, it's successful. They can see that you can do some of those things and do something differently. Whether you're running a 1-2-2, a 2-1-2, a 2-3 forecheck, all of them work. They've all been proven to be successful at many levels. Nobody's in the NHL's running the 2-3. That's just not going to happen. But there are times to do certain forechecks or defensive zone schemes or face-off plays, things like that. That if you see that they can be successful and the kids believe in them, they'll work. You can throw something else out there and they don't understand it, they don't believe it, it's almost guaranteed that it won't work. So our job is to prepare them, try to get them ready for the game, and then maybe tweak one or two things. But I talked to Jared about brand new coach. What does he do during the game? What kind of feedback can we give him? And after the first couple weekends, I said, you don't have to coach so much. Every play, every shift, you don't have to go out and evaluate that, and because kids can't take in all that information. And so, I'm that person who will stand back a little bit, say things when they need to be said, and try to help them or make a change based on what I've seen or what's happening during the game. Other people, are going to be constantly, in their face and doing things and trying to get them to, but it's a lot of information for them. And so, as we talked about yesterday, they need reps of certain things to get it through their system. And so, that's one thing we're working on with our penalty kill right now. It's not acceptable. We're at 69%, and that's not who we are as a program and what we've done in the past. So we've got to figure that out. We're trying to figure out that. Right now, if I was a coach on the other side, I'd be, Jay, get the power play, get in the zone, shoot. It's probably going in. So that, let it be known to the world, but we're working on it, and we have to get better. If we want to be a championship caliber team, we can't be where we are with that portion of our game. So that's a concern and something we're trying to work on. So.
Yeah, and one thing that's different about the hockey program than other programs here at UMary is the longer road trips based on just how the ACHA is laid out compared to, teams, other teams here at UMary going between NSIC schools. You guys are going to Missouri today, and you're going to be there till Sunday, like you said. So how do you deal with those long road trips that are pretty far away from North Dakota?
It's you have to face good competition. And so we try, in our early days, we were able to fly a lot of places, but we had to go to the west coast to Utah, and we went to Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers. We went to Liberty. We were going different places that the competitiveness of the programs allowed us to have a good schedule. And so when we moved up to the Division I level in the ACHA now, I've kind of found a route through the Mississippi that we don't have to fly anywhere, but our bus trips have become a little bit longer. We could fly to Oklahoma City and go to play there, or go to Springfield, or wherever we're going, Chicago. But by the time you get on a plane and you have to get vans or whatever else you're doing when you get to the other side, and the internal stops of the flight, because you can't go anywhere from Bismarck without having to stop in Denver, Dallas, or Minneapolis. Now all of a sudden it becomes about the same amount of time of travel, and it's not any easier. So you get your guys together, you just go do it, and they become a great group, and they have fun together, and it's something different. And so they are longer. I was teasing the football coaches the other day. I said, yeah, you're going to Winona, that's halfway for us. We're going to stay over at that point of our trip, and so, we've got to do that, and then another day, and then on the way back, you got 13 hours on the way back straight through. So it becomes management of health on road trips, but we're going to face a good team that's ranked this weekend. We've done that with Illinois State. We've got some great trips coming up. Going to Chicago 2 times, or 1 time here, and then one in Maryville and St. Louis in January, and we get to face some great competition. And so, we're already facing Jamestown and Minot, 5 and 6 times during the season, which elevates our schedule and strength of schedule. And that's on purpose. 2 extra games against Minot, who's ranked in the top 5, is a lot more fiscally responsible than going to Liberty. Liberty is a cool trip, but it's going to cost about $20,000 more to play those 2 games against them than it will be to play a home-and-home series with Minot for the same exact strength of schedule. So we may as well just play the local teams and have that rivalry enhanced, and try to beat them and play competitively and raise that rivalry between our schools. Mm-hmm. So we've found a pretty good avenue. Next year we've got the same thing. We kind of stay in that Michigan, Illinois, Missouri pipeline of the Mississippi here, and then we've got our conference games that we get assigned and we have to play. So
Yeah, and this season seems like the home games were front-loaded on the schedule as well. So how do you as a coach keep the team consistent while dealing with those long road trips?
Yeah, it's always a hard thing. You don't know how. I feel really good about our schedule in the aspect of health and transition. We really only have one long trip a month, and so we're not doing it back-to-back weekends. We're not doing two long ones in a row. Long home, long trip. That isn't happening. So able to secure kind of that. What does that look like for our team and the wear that a long road trip like that takes on a team? Usually you see a fall off on Friday night because you just haven't got your feet down on you yet, and so. This year, we won Friday night at Illinois State, played a great game. We'll see what happens this week when we have that next long trip here against Missouri State. They've been a team that this year has split all 3 weekends, or 4 weekends that they played. So, hopefully we can come out and respond. That's also why we leave on Wednesday and don't do the whole trip in one day. So we'll leave after practice, after school on Wednesday today, get partway there and stay overnight and then make the rest of the travel. We'll practice on Thursday morning and make the rest of the travel on Thursday and be ready to go on Friday. So hopefully that separation of travel and moving that to different days will help our guys respond and be ready to go.
All right, one more hockey question because I can ask questions about hockey all day. But, the team this year, 16 new faces, a lot of guys that don't know each other. What's that process like of getting those guys comfortable with each other to the point where, they can be on the same page on the ice?
I think a lot of that starts that first week that we come here and we're not in school. And so we've brought our guys back early. We've allowed them to develop as a team without having to worry about class. And so they can practice in the morning, have lunch together, go to strength and conditioning, have team meetings, hang out with each other, and they're just hockey players and friends and buddies and people that don't know each other and trying to learn who they are. And so you have either good leadership and you guys are hanging out together and finding out, or you're starting to get clicks and you don't want that. You want guys to be our best players and the guys that have been here the longest hanging out with the guys that are the newest. And I think that happened this year with a lot of those players figuring out that, boy, these guys are energetic. They've come here for multiple reasons. One of them is every one of those guys is mission driven for the institution. And so they're learning that there's more to life than hockey and more to life than academics and social life and prayer life and all these other things, and they're coming together, and that there's other people that are around them in our locker room that are here for the same reasons. And so that's that. I think that they've come together probably closer than any other team other than our first year. Where those guys were just playing because they wanted to play hockey and were doing it for fun because we couldn't go to a championship at the end of the year, so we just played 40-some games, and they just got to challenge themselves every week, and they kind of fought we're North Dakota kids, and let's go do this, and nobody else wanted us. So that's different than where we are right now, where kids want to be here because of who we are, not for the opportunity to develop a program. They want to come into a program that's established. And that's because of those former players, of which we had our first alumni game and 32 guys came back, which was amazing. And so I'm grateful for all of those kids that helped start our program and have come back to us and said, hey, this was a great experience. We want to be around our buddies for a weekend. Let's continue to do this thing. So that was pretty fun to see that. But, I think, competitiveness, drives people to come together. And they know they can't do it by themselves. And so they're stuck with each other because they came here and this is our team. And if we're going to be successful, they can't do it without the other 24 guys. And then we have to recognize that and try to find issues that might come up or not. And I think there's little to none of things we've had to address as a coaching staff with this team so far this year.
Excellent. And one thing I ask every coach at the very end of this is, how can people support your program?
Well, that's always a good thing is, come out and watch, listen, talk about it in the community, buy a ticket. And, there's ways to support our Armada. We're always looking for extra help. One of the things that, separates our program as well is that we don't provide athletic scholarships to our kids. So they are here on their own in paying their way through school with their merit scholarship and whatever else they can qualify for, but we don't have the ability to help them. So, it's important that we treat them well and provide a great environment for them. And we have had people, come forward and say, hey, what can we do and how can we help and what do we do? What can you do to help build your locker room and, things like that, and what's important to your team. And so all of those ideas and gifts and support factors are great things for us that we love and appreciate. We just know that, the more tickets we sell, the more people we have that can come out and experience a game and hopefully have a great experience there and then walk away and go, I want to come back. Boy, that was the first time I'd heard about it, but that was really fun. And if we can continue to do that, then, we're pretty happy about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the time and best of luck this weekend and the rest of the way.
Thanks, Danny.
Big thanks to Coach Dan Huntley for joining us on the UMary Coaches Show this week. Make sure you stay tuned to all of our social media channels for the latest episodes of the Coaches Show, out every Wednesday. And you can also go to goumary.com for links to all of our social media channels and our YouTube channel as well. Thanks once again, and go Marauders!